You are now listening to the fastest show on iSports Radio. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr. Welcoming you to another lap of the extra mile for today, January 27th, 2022. Well, we're getting ready to start the first race of the international racing season, the Rolex 24 at Daytona. And help me talk about, of course, my co-host for this evening, Michael Ward. Michael, welcome.
Oh, hello.
No Christopher Lehman this week. Christopher's on baby duty. We will get him back next week to get ready for the Clash. But Michael, as I was saying last week, you know, this is much like the preseason football we'll see in the NFL, but now things are starting to ratchet up a little bit more. We've got the first race coming up. We've also got some other series getting started. NASCAR just completed their preseason testing. It's getting to that part of the season I like, where you just welcome back all the racing series after a long winter hibernation.
Yeah, I definitely can't wait to see just some racing. I know the Clash is coming up soon, and the Rolex 24. I'm always really excited for that.
Yep. And the Rolex 24 qualifying got started, or Rolex 24 weekend technically got started on Sunday with the Motul 100 qualifying race. Michael, this race was brought in last year pretty much as a buffer just in case any races got canceled due to COVID. And it's really become a part of the Daytona tradition of setting the qualifications for the main race, but is having another smaller race.
Yeah, I actually kind of like that. It actually gives the fans a nice little tease of what's to come for the season and maybe for the rest of the race. I definitely really enjoyed the racing, especially in the GT category. As you guys already know, my favorite team is no longer there, Mazda. I think last year was their last year, so it's been a good run. But now, Daryl, I'll have to pick a new favorite team.
Yep, well, I'm always riding with Corvette. Unfortunately, they did not have fun during Sunday's qualifying race.
Yeah, I saw.
I mean, that's a pared down GT LM they're trying to run as a GT3, so I'm sadly not surprised.
I mean, do you think they're sandbagging a little bit?
They're not sandbagging. The car's just not fast. It's not a GT3. So you're bringing a car that was set up for GTE spec down to GT3. It's going to be a lot slower than cars that are built to be GT3s.
Right.
And they're going to struggle with this until they get their actual GT3 on the grid, which may not be till at least when they change the rules in 2024. But before we get too deep into that, we should probably go through the rest of the starting order first that was set by that race. We'll start with DPI, of course. Wayne Taylor Racing, the number 10 Konica Minolta Acura, sitting on the pole. And Michael, for a team that has been so strong here at Daytona for the rest of the grid, that is a concern.
Yeah, that is definitely a concern. They're usually one of the best up there, but this time they didn't do so well, Daryl.
Well, I would say they did pretty well. They won the qualifying race, so they're starting on pole.
Oh, see, that shows you how much I know. I kind of came in midway.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they did really good to win the race, of course.
And for a team that has been dominant in this race since the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship era, the other 6 DPI teams have to be worried because now you've got the strongest team starting up front, and Ricky Taylor, Felipe Albuquerque, 2 of the drivers in that car, they get off to a good start. They might be hard to catch.
Definitely, and they might be hard to catch, but it is a long, very long race, so anything can happen. And a lot of these other teams, they're also really talented, so we can't really count them out.
JDC Miller will also be on the front row with Tristan Vautier and Westbrook, sorry.
I'd say George Russell is in the Daytona 24 Hours.
No, I was about to say, they don't have the full names, so we're just going to go through the list of what teams are going to be in here. We have Jimmy Johnson who's also going to be in the race. He's going to start third in the first of the Chip Ganassi
Yep.
Cadillac DPIs. He'll be starting in the third spot. Jimmy ran all of the endurance races last year. You know, the 7-time NASCAR champion. He's having fun in his retirement. Going to run pretty much the entire schedule in IndyCar this year. So we're excited for that. He's getting a little bit of warm-up here in the Rolex 24.
That's definitely going to be a treat. I wonder how he's going to do managing IndyCar and also IMSA along with that.
What helps that he's not doing that many IMSA races, so he should have a good time. Rest of this category will be rounded out by the two Cadillac DPIs, the 01 in front of the 02, and the Whelen Engineering Racing number 31 of Pepo Durrani and Tristan Nunez, the Whelen Engineering car. Always a beautiful paint scheme. Going to start 6th there. Going to start 7th, rather, in DPI and on the grid. And then we get into LMP2, this entire category running on Arica LMP2s. And it's PR1 Mathiasen Motorsports locking out the front 2 rows with the number 52 car being on the pole and the number 11 on the outside front row for LMP2. Gotta feel good for PR1 Mathiasen to come in and have both cars on the front row. It's gonna feel good, but Michael, it's a 24-hour race. These starting spots aren't gonna matter much by the time this race gets started.
Honestly, they're not. They're really not. Yeah. It's all about survival here. It's all about survival in the other categories.
Yeah, and we're gonna get to that why in a moment, but at least starting at the front of your class, you don't have to deal with a whole lot of traffic.
That is
would be the smart part. Would be the smart thing, at least in the early stages of the race. Once we get 61 cars lapping this place, it's not going to matter.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you're going to have traffic. You're going to have people passing you, or you passing the field. People passing you. People going slower than you. It's kind of a nightmare, but it's also really fun to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be nerve-wracking. Let's go quickly through the starting lineups of the rest of these grids. In the LMP3 category, this is our more amateur prototype cars. Andretti Autosport will be in the will lead the field to green in the LMP3s with, I believe that is Jeff Andretti. That is going to be leading them to green. Actually, let me make sure. Go away. No, it's Josh Borden and Jarrett Andretti, will be in the number 36 Andretti Autosport Ligier. Now, the LMP3 cars, last year, they were actually getting caught by the GTLMs and were actually behind those cars due to the uniqueness of their pit stops. This year, though, they are right there where you expect them. They're going to be starting 17th, 18th, 19th, the first 3. They are really the bridge of the LMP categories for those gentlemen drivers in GT. It's an economical way of drivers that want to go prototype racing.
Sounds great.
Now, these cars did have issues, so some of those cars are in the back, but when this race does start on Saturday, all the cars will be together based on their category. The LMPs, DPI through LMP3, and GTD Pro and GTD. Now, the LMP3s, Michael, these cars, to me, take up the place where LMP2 used to be, where it was a bunch of cars really just trying to survive 24 hours, and it's more of a throwback to what these races used to be, where it was all about survival, unlike now, where it's all about attack.
Yeah, back then it was definitely all about survival, just trying to get through the races, just trying to get your stints out the way. But also back then, those cars were, in my opinion, definitely more prone to failing after long nights of pushing the car. So I think these cars will fare a little bit better, but it's we're definitely gonna have to see during the race, because me and you know, it doesn't matter until you see their checkered flag in the morning. So
yeah, it doesn't matter until you see that checkered flag around 2:00 tomorrow. 2:00 on Sunday. Everything else is irrelevant between there. And in the two GT categories, GTD Pro and GTD, all GT3 cars this year, due to changes in the regulations with GTLM/GTE about to say goodbye, as all of GT racing will transfer to that GT3 rule structure there in the FIA. WeatherTech Racing, the number 79 Porsche, will be on the pole for the TR3 Racing Lamborghini Huracan will be on the pole. The number 63 will be on pole for GTD Pro. GTD will be led to green by Windward Racing in their number 57 Mercedes AMG GT3. Now, if you look at the results sheet, they're all mixed in here together, the GTD Pros and the GTDs. The cars are about identical, other than some changes to the GTD Pro cars to set up with the more professional teams there in that category, as the Pro class is obviously more for the people who do this for a living, and then the GTD, your gentleman drivers and the like, those type of teams. These cars are going to be mixing it up all day. That makes a traffic situation that was already difficult. It's going to be a lot harder on Saturday when this race gets started.
Sorry, repeat what you said.
Sorry, I said that with the GTD Pros and GTDs all mixed in together, it's going to make the traffic situation a lot more difficult.
Yeah, and navigating traffic, especially in the Rolex 24, is going to be a nightmare, because the only way I kind of know is I played Project Cars 3. Not 3. God, no, not 3. 2.
We don't talk about Project Cars 3.
Yeah, we don't. I played Project Cars 2, and I've done the Rolex 24 a numerous amounts of time. So, yeah, navigating traffic in that game is a nightmare. You can only imagine the drivers navigating the traffic. And it just adds on the confusion with the new GT regulations. It's just going to be a nightmare. It's going to be fun for us to watch because we don't have to deal with it. But those guys on track, it's going to be a nightmare.
Well, I can tell you how bad it's going to be. Of the cars that didn't run into issues during Sunday's Motul 100, the gap of the entire field from DPI to the back of the GTD field that didn't get into any issues was 6 laps. To put that into time perspective, the fastest lap run by the DPIs was the Konica Minolta number 10, ran a 1:34.8. The fastest of the GTD Pros ran a 1:46.4. That is over a 10-second difference in fastest lap. The traffic, we keep harping on the traffic situation. Folks, tune in to NBC when this race gets started, because about 20 minutes in, they'll get into it. You have 61 cars of varying speeds, of varying type. It's going to look like, for us here, 495 on steroids. Whoever is going to get through this traffic is going to be, whoever can get through it the most efficiently is a team that's going to be the most successful. Now, last year we only had 40 cars at the Rolex 24 due to a lot of issues, COVID being one of them. Not that we don't have those travel restrictions as bad this year. That is why we have a full field for this race. Now, it's not the 80 cars of yesteryear, but you've got 61 cars. And unlike yesteryear, Michael, most of these cars, barring accident, will probably be running deep into the night and early into Sunday morning. You are not going to get rest at all if you are driving in this race.
And think about it, fatigue is also going to play a factor, especially at night. So, yeah, navigating these cars, Daryl, this is going to be interesting. And running into traffic is definitely increases the racing. So it's going to be fun to watch.
It's going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be the best Rolex. Oh, go ahead.
No, for us, it's going to be fun to watch. It's
going to be the best Rolex 24 in quite some time. I'm going to try to stay up to watch.
Is that a McLaren? Oh, yeah, there's a McLaren last year.
Yeah, there is a McLaren on the grid. I'm going to try to stay up to watch all of it. I'm not going to be able to, but I'm going to try.
It's always fun to try, but you're not there, so it's always fun to get a few winks of sleep. You never know you never know what you'll miss.
Yeah. And we've actually had a couple of past extra mile contributors go out there. Matt White went to that race a couple of years back. Lita Camello went there with Porsche. Last year she was on this show, and everyone had a great time. It's one of the races on my bucket list. I really want to get out there. And there is nothing like, from all the videos, being there at the track. They've got the lights turned down on the oval, except for on the front stretch. It's 10 o'clock at night. Most of the time, the race, if it was a NASCAR race, it would be ending, and you still see those headlights going around the infield. This is going to be a sight to behold.
I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of on topic, but not on topic. When you go to a race, right, and you buy the tickets, do you buy which turn you're gonna sit at?
For most races, yes. Rolex, not so much. I think they just do general admission for the grandstands, because everybody's just gonna be walking around anyway. You don't go to that race just to sit in the grandstands all day.
Oh God, no. But so I'm also talking about NASCAR, F1, IndyCar. So I'm guessing when you buy your ticket and you say which turn you're gonna sit at, you just kind of park your car at that turn.
Yep.
And, okay, that makes sense.
Well, it depends. The parking lots are all over the place, so it really depends on when you get there and a whole bunch of stuff.
I always thought you parked your car and then you have to walk all over the place to get to where you're about to sit at.
Mm-hmm.
And then part of me just thought, you probably park where you're going to sit at.
Yeah, usually not, just due to how the tracks are set up. I know Daytona, their parking lots are all over the place, so there's very little parking actually at the track. The parking lots are a couple of they're a good ways away from the actual speedway. They use buses to get everybody in to the racetrack nowadays, but it's still gonna be a lot of fun.
Oh, okay.
It's still a lot of fun to go.
I actually plan to attend, hopefully, maybe a NASCAR race or any type of race this year. Mm-hmm. So I actually kind of do need the tips and tricks on how to plan for all of this.
Go early, plan to stay late.
Gotcha.
Do not rush to get to your car in the parking lot. You're going to have a bad time.
I'm guessing you're talking from experience.
Yeah, do not rush to go to the parking lot. Just chill, walk around, see if any of the stalls are open, take some last pictures of the track. Don't rush to get back in your car and get in that traffic.
They let you go to the pit stall after the race?
Well, I don't mean the pit stall. I mean the souvenir stalls of that nature.
They let you go in there after the race?
Yeah, do not rush back to your car.
Okay.
You're just rushing to sit.
Oh, man.
As someone who's done it, you're just rushing to sit.
All right, I will take all. I actually wrote all this down.
Yeah.
All right.
Also, take ear protection.
Wait, will you say protection?
Like earmuffs, not that type of protection. Trust me, it's much louder than you think.
Really?
Yeah.
I know not to do that at a NHRA race.
I'm going to one of those in May, so I will be able to actually get to you some video to just show you how loud that race is going to be. But before we digress too much further, Rolex 24 at Daytona, going to get started this Saturday at 1:30 p.m. on NBC. After that, you're going to switch over to USA from 4 o'clock to 7 p.m. That will be interrupted by Monster Energy Supercross. So you're going to jump on Peacock to watch the race from there until 10 p.m. when it comes back on USA. Peacock will have a stream of the race in its entirety starting at 1:40 p.m. Rolex 24 will be on USA until 3 a.m., but you can then jump back on Peacock to watch it there. And then the race will return to the airwaves at 6 p.m. Or at 6 a.m., sorry. That'll go from 6 to noon, and you can catch the finale on Sunday, 12 p.m., all the way to 2 p.m. on NBC. Mike Pat in the chat. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, Mike. Hope you're doing well. We just got done discussing the Rolex 24. Cannot wait to get this race started. Gonna be fun. Cannot wait. But we're gonna have to wait because we're gonna have to go and take a commercial break. Of course, this is sponsored by Southern California Warriors. And folks, the world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organizations. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get filmed to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance. If you love your sport, you may get the second chance you have been waiting for as an athlete. Follow them on social media at SoCal Warriors on Twitter, at Southern California_Warriors on Instagram, and Facebook at Southern California Warriors. We'll be right back here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, everybody? This is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you. Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Attention, all sports fans! If you're someone who wakes up each morning with lists of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the college, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you then.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. And business owners out there, are you looking to background check a new hire on with a lot of open positions now in the workforce? That's a lot of people you have to look over. Let Kit Freeman take care of that for you. Kit founded and has managed Background Check International since 1994, and he's here to help you with the screening process. Contact Kit and let him help make the hiring process that much easier. This business is used for professional background checks and not for the use of any crimes such as identity theft or any other illegal activity. Follow them on social media on Facebook at Background Check International, and check out the website bcint.com for more information. Now, say, Michael, we get a little bit bigger, we'll probably have to use Background Check International to check on our new hires here at the Extra Mile, which you're listening to on IE Sports Radio, your feed for all that is sports. And we're going to go ahead and get into preseason test talk. Actually, before that, there's some non-traditional racing news I wanted to get to that we talk about here on the show. First, we have some news from the world of hydroplane racing out on the water, as the Pro Light Hydroplane Series will be heading to Guntersville. The Pro Light Hydroplane Racing and National High Point Series, comprised of the American Powerboat Association's 5-liter E350 class of boats, will join Grand Prix America and the Unlimited Hydroplanes at the Lake Guntersville Hydrofest, this June. According to a post on Facebook, that class is expected to host 20 boats for the National High Points Championship. A fuller entry list will not be known until we get closer to starting the season this summer. The league recently came to an agreement with Grand Prix America to race along with that class at certain GP America and H1 Unlimited races. More races are to be announced for that championship, as the American Powerboat Association stipulates a 4-race minimum for national championships. So, Michael, I know you're not as well-versed in boat racing as I, but what I can tell you is this is a good thing for all 3 of these series. It brings more racing to the Lake Guntersville Hydrofest that I went to last year. Had a wonderful time there in Alabama. If you ever get a chance to go to a hydroplane race, this is going to be one of the ones I would say to go to. You will see this time the Unlimiteds, Grand Prix America, and the E350s, these boats separated by engine category, basically, and size. It's going to create more time on the water and less downtime, which is a good thing for all the fans, and also you get to see some more unique boats as well. So it's much like what we see in other motorsports. You have the main class, then you got a couple of undercards to keep action on the track and keep people's eyeballs pointing at that pavement. Or in this case, the water. These boats wouldn't work well on pavement. Oh, no. And this is a more interesting one this is one I really want to get your opinion on. So Formula E is going to have an extra time system to try to avoid debacles like what happened at the Valencia E-Prix last year. Formula E is going to add the time that is taken away from green flag running due to safety car periods to the end of the race. Time will not be added if the safety car period happens after the 41st minute. What they are doing here is trying to ensure that they don't have any issues like what happened at the Valencia E-Prix, where half the teams ended up being disqualified from the race for running out of energy due to the regulations, which take away power from the cars at the end of a safety car period. Now, I have been on record, Michael, I do not like that they take away power from the cars. It's like during a pit stop at NASCAR, and they take some of the fuel out of the fuel tank because it was a caution. Basically an effort to try to make them race more conservatively, which is kind of the antithesis of what we're trying to do here. I applaud them for trying to fix their own mistake, but how do you feel about it?
That doesn't sit well with me, honestly. I'm going to have to agree with you on that. Mm-hmm. Because you're taking away from the racing.
Yeah.
That's the opposite of what we're trying to do. We want them to race more, not race less.
I look, I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to do a thing where they're trying to show how economical these cars can be, but it's racing.
Yeah, we're not trying to be economic in racing. Now, we're already kind of economic, just by being electricity, but come on.
It's weird. And
come on. We don't race to save fuel. We race to burn as much fuel as possible. I mean, if that's a concern, just shorten the race. I don't know.
Who knows? We'll see what they do. So, we now move on to preseason testing. We just finished up the last of the preseason tests with NASCAR at Phoenix. So, all of the learning that won't take place in the heat of battle is complete on the now, what we will call the Gen 7 NASCAR Cup car. It just doesn't feel right calling it Next Gen anymore because Next Gen is now the current gen. We now head into the Busch Clash. This is basically going to be a celebration of NASCAR. There's going to be concerts. We're doing a heat race format. This is going to be entertaining, and I need people just to switch off the seriousness. This is not a points race. This is just about having fun and saying, hey, NASCAR's back. That's all this race is.
Yeah, like I said the last time we talked about this, I'm just going to watch, just have fun.
Yeah, I'm not really taking anything from these about how we expect to see the next gen drive. I mean, this is by far the shortest track that they will run on all year. This race isn't going to tell us that much. It's just to have fun. Now at Phoenix, we did get to see Bubba Wallace take his first laps in the next gen car. He finished 5th in the testing. Now everybody's on their own type of strategy, but to see him in the top 5 looks pretty good. Bubba recovering from rotator cuff surgery, going to be good to go when we get to the Clash here, which starts next week. So we're getting really close now to the start of the NASCAR season.
It is, and also the testing looked really interesting. I saw a couple people spin out there.
These cars are going to be hard to handle, and that's what everyone is wanting to see. Cup cars need to be tough to drive. We've heard that from Twitter ad nauseum. These cars are going to be really hard to drive. They're not like anything they're used to before with the independent rear suspension and the wider, bigger tires. We've already seen the car likes to snap loose. Those rear tires, they like to get unhooked, especially with the 670 horsepower. You got that small rear spoiler. It's going to go around in a hurry, and you're not going to be able to catch it if you don't detect it early enough. This is going to test everyone's racing skill, and you know what? That's what we want out of a top echelon series. This is exactly what we want to see. I think the 1.5 miles are going to have much better racing. I think some other tracks that didn't have good racing are going to be better. This is going to be an entertaining season.
I really want to see a road course with these cars.
I think the road courses are going to be a lot better than what they were with the old car. And they were good with the old car. This is going to be really exciting. They're more set up like GT4 cars, so they're going to be able to push a little bit harder when it comes to the plate races.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you've seen, they're starting to also get the pit stop cadence down now with the one lug nut. The penalty for that on the track has gone away because if you miss one lug nut, well, that's going to be your race. However, the 4-race suspension for not getting the lug nut tight and causing a tire to fall off the car, that rule is still in effect. That could be devastating to someone's playoff hopes. You're going to lose a crew member for 4 weeks. I believe also you're going to lose your crew chief for 4 weeks as well. You don't want that happening to you.
Definitely. That can be a definite problem during playoffs, but I still think it's weird that you no longer, having to fit the tire back on, that's a penalty in itself, but I don't know. I still feel like, the fact that the tire fell off is the penalty itself. You lose points, lose for track position. I don't know. I don't really think the crew chief should get penalized for that.
Well, the reason they're penalizing them is because they don't want teams playing games like what they were when they first got rid of the lug nut rule, which then came back because teams started doing stupid stuff and tires started coming off. It's to make sure those lug nuts are tight. Now, I don't think you're going to have much of an issue because you're going to find out real quick whether or not you got all those lug nuts tight. It's going to be about 100 feet, and you're going to figure it out. Because your car's going to stop, and that tire is going to go bouncing down the pit lane, and that's going to be the end of your race. So I don't think we have to worry about that because it's going to be a self-policing problem real fast.
Yeah.
So as we go into preseason testing, there's also some other testing going on around the motorsports landscape. Porsche has begun testing their GT prototype. That is going to be the new top class for IMSA, which will include both Le Mans Hypercar and Le Mans Daytona Hypercars in the same class name. Just a unifying marker there. It's been since the early 90s that we've heard the name GT prototype, and that name is now back in IMSA starting in 2023. And we're going in now to Formula One is also getting ready to unveil their new car in 2022. And Michael, there's an interesting wrinkle here. First test session in Spain, not going to have TV coverage. Will, however, have TV coverage for the second one in Bahrain.
Yep. Which is definitely strange.
And we were talking about that a little bit during the break. What is your feeling about not having that first having that first test broadcasted?
To be honest with you, I feel fine about it. I mean, let the teams kind of be secretive because they're going to want to be secretive no matter what. So if they want to run the test session, I'm assuming the teams want this to be private. So if they want, privacy, and that helps them, make a competitive car or whatever, that's fine by me, as long as, we get, some footage of these cars on the track. So how do you feel about it?
I mean, this testing's not going to show us anything.
Yeah.
We're not really going to see anything until qualifying in Bahrain. I know you said free practice 1. I think they're going to have the sandbags in until Q1 of Bahrain and not until Q3 for those big teams.
Yeah.
So whatever happens in these tests happen. It's going to be good to see the cars back on track, but it's not going to tell us anything. Because
it's more so of, cars on track, the excitement of seeing them on track. That's kind of where, preseason testing is kind of, the focus. But other than that, people really don't watch it that often.
Testing has also begun for World Superbike. They had their first session of their test earlier today, and Jonathan Rea was fastest early in that test session. Jonathan is he's a 5-time World Superbike champion, so we'll see how he does in 2022. World Superbike isn't something I've watched a lot of. I'm going to try to get more into the bike stuff later on this year. I do love me some Monster Energy Supercross, though, which is going to run again of course, Saturday evening. Cannot wait to get that going. But the problem with that series, at least for me, is most of it just starts on the West Coast. And those 10 o'clock start times are really, really tough. And I do want to take something back about what I said about the Cup Series, or about the F1 testing. It'll tell us what the pecking order is early. But as we saw in 2022, it may not stay that way. Because there's going to be a lot of development. However, Ferrari believes that due to the cap, we're going to see less development on these cars as the year goes by because of the spending cap. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't think we'll be seeing updates every race, but I do think, at least quarterly, we'll be seeing updates on these cars as the year goes on.
Yeah, and I think maybe a slow update rate might be good. Mm-hmm. Because, it'll stop something like, let's say a team has an advantage at the beginning of the season and, some, like, I don't know, kind of like what happened with Ferrari and Mercedes one year. Ferrari had the better car, believe it or not, and then Mercedes just went to the lab and made their car like 2 seconds faster, and they couldn't beat them after that. So I think it'll stop stuff like that'll happen. Stop that happening.
We'll see. I still think there is going to be a chance of one team is going to be the best and people are going to catch it. Now the change is they might not have that advantage for as very long, but the main question still on everyone's lips, is Lewis Hamilton coming back?
Has he still been silent? We
have not heard from Lewis Hamilton since the debacle at Abu Dhabi. The question is, does he come back? If he doesn't, Formula One's going to be in a bad way for multiple reasons.
I would imagine he's coming back. Mercedes hasn't said anything yet.
We'll see. But for now, we're going to get ready to call it a show a little bit early today as we get ready for the race of the season. Davis and Crooks, what's good? How you doing, sir? Thank you so much for joining in. So we're going to get ready to get out of here. But before we do that, got to thank our IE Sports Radio fan of the month for the month of January, who is Steel 43, 64, 42, 68, go. A lot of numbers in that name. Steeler fan. Want to thank him for being our fan of the month, one of our fans of Steeler Nation. I know they're feeling it right now. Ben Roethlisberger saying goodbye there in Pittsburgh. And folks, if you want to be our fan of the month, make sure you interact with us. And if you want to help us out, why don't you check out the Patreon? For the last 7.5 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. All the while, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans. And with your help, we are ready to take that next step. When you head over to IESportsRadio.com, you'll see a link for our Patreon with 5 different tiers at just $5 a month. That will get you a shout out on all 32 of our shows, and higher tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to the podcasting university, and even a chance to be featured on a segment of our flagship show, The Defining Moment. Thank you all very much for continuing to make IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. And check us out on social media at IE Sports Radio on Twitter and Instagram, and IE Sports Radio on Facebook. Speaking of Twitter, I'm at DKA Junior 12. Michael's at Michael_War25, and Christopher Lehman is at Fiji Sims. And if you've missed any episode of any IE Sports Radio show, make sure you check out anywhere podcasts can be heard and the YouTube channel, where we have a library of every IE Sports Radio show from the beginning. That'll do it for us here at The Extra Mile. My name is, for Michael, I'm Daryl. This has been The Extra Mile, and we will see you at the next green flag. Good night, everybody.